Continued continued from page 70. That night, as I'm riding around and around on the city bus, waiting for Julian to get home, I spend so much time thinking about the party that I almost forgot to get off the bus when it passes by our stop for the fifth time about 8 o'clock. And I have to jump up and tell the bus driver to let me off at the next stop. Walking back to Jolene's house in the slushy snow and the pitch black winter darkness, I've still got Holly Jolly Christmas playing in my head. Marcel. I wait until Willie Q is in a good mood to tell him about the Christmas party. The lots of orders making us lots of money, good mood. This time of the year, that's Friday and Saturday nights, I wait until after he's counted up our money and he's cleaning up the kitchen. My class is having a Christmas party after school next week, I say real smooth. Don't mention a word about the math club being the reason. Willie Q doesn't look up. What's that got to do with me? He says, like he knows exactly what I'm going to ask next. Maybe I should wait for Saturday, good mood. They were wondering if Willie's Barbecue could send over something, just for the party, something little to try. Ain't a charity, Willie Q answers, scrubbing the pans harder. I give Willie Q my best turn on the charm and big pearly white smile. They heard we got the best barbecue in the whole city, I say. We does, Willie Q shrugs. So what? The slow burn sauce starts bubbling inside me again. I think about answering. So what would you do if I told you I ain't working for you anymore? Or what if nobody ordered your tasteless old barbecue? Not on Friday night or Saturday night or any other night. Instead, I say, so maybe we should show them we do. Willie Q crosses his arms and turns toward me. Bet they haven't tried some of our new barbecue wings now, have they? Or some of the good southern cornbread I've been making? I don't tell Willie Q that the cornbread ain't all that good. Cannonball cornbread, that's what it's called. Too heavy. Shoot it out like a cannonball and chunk it. A chunk of Willie Q's cornbread could wipe out half the city of Cleveland. Willie Q reaches for the order pads. How much food do you need and when? Even though I tell Willie Q that its party's only for about 5 or 6 people, he says he'll go ahead and send for food for 10. When the math club sees all the food, magnificent food Marcel's magnificent is lugging to the party, they ain't gonna believe their eyes. Cornbread, wings, short ribs, cake. Don't want folks to think we're stingy, Willie Q insists. Take my advice. Don't try and figure out Willie Q. Just grab what he gives you and run. That's what I do. James Harris III. Maybe I'll come to the party and maybe I won't. I don't make my decision until I'm walking past the classroom at the end of the day, already wearing my coat and ready to leave. I shove my hands in my coat pockets and slow the way down to what's happening before I get to the doorway. I ain't staying to sing any karaoke machine or play any stupid party games if that's what's going on. That ain't me. But the only thing I can hear coming out of the room is whining country music. I stick my head in the doorway to just call out, "Who's listening to that sicko country music?" And then Collins comes over wearing a party hat that has a turtle on it. He looks like a complete fool. The hat says happy 10th birthday, even though this is a Christmas party and Collins isn't 10. Come in and join us, James. He waves his arm at me. Ain't listening to that music, I answer, shoving my hands deeper in my coat pockets and leaning against the doorway, staying right where I am. Well then, find some music you like, James, Colin answers in the same happy white voice, pointing toward the boombox. Just come in and have something to eat. Then he heads back over to the table where the food is set up. If it was up to me, I'd rather sit on the other side of the room and work on the project. We're only halfway to the top, and we've got a bunch of blue pieces waiting to be glued together. But working on the tetrahedron doesn't seem to matter to nobody but me. Charisse and Rondell are laughing themselves silly and taping Christmas streamers everywhere, stringing them around Colin's desk and across the top of the chalkboard. Marcel and Collins are leaning against the heater, stuffing their faces with barbecue. Terrell and Deandra squeeze past me, carrying 2 heaping plates of food in front of them. Sorry we can't stay. Gotta go catch the bus. Terrell waves to Barbecue Face. Thanks for all the good food, man. Still not making my mind up whether I'm about staying, I walk over and check out what's left to eat. Marcel pushes a plastic plate into my hands as if I'm standing in my daddy's barbecue window or something. Try some of our wings, he buzzes around me like a fly that needs swatting. And the ribs, he points. If you like hot sauce, try the ribs. Tar in the summertime hot, that's what me and Willie Q call them. I gave Marcel a hard stare. Get out of my face, fool. I can pick out my own food. But I gotta admit, after all the fast food and pizzas and boxes of cereal we eat at my uncle's, maybe I forgot how real food good tastes. I take 4 big pieces of chicken, ribs, wings, pile them on my plate like a barbecue mountain. When I pick up the ribs with my fingers, I can feel my fingertips burning, I swear. And by the time I've eaten about half the food on my plate, my whole body is breathing heat. I have to open my mouth to let out smoke. Stuff's pretty good, man, I hear myself saying to Marcel. Maybe it's all the food or Colin's getting rid of the country music on the boombox and playing some rap, but I stay longer than I planned. I've been to worse parties, let's just say that. We stand around the food table talking about all the kinds of things sports, music, movies. Colin's up to date on his movies, even though he doesn't have a clue about basketball. Doesn't even know who plays center for Cleveland. How could you not know that? When Charisse starts running her mouth about how our math club is like its own little family, I have to get up and leave. We're all sitting around eating Marcel's chocolate cake when Charisse looks up. We're kind of like a little family, aren't we? She says, smiling and licking the frosting off her fork. Mr. Collins is like the head of the family, and the 4 of us, me, Rondell, Marcel, and James, are like the kids. And Terrell and Deandra are the second or third cousins who show up out of the blue every once in a while, right? Makes my skin crawl to listen to her. Who would picture our math club as a family? What's this girl thinking? That's what goes through my mind. You crazy, I say, pulling my coat off the back of the chair and putting it on, because I'm not sticking around any longer for this kind of talk. Gotta get going, I say. Bye, and then I'm out the door. I spring past all the empty classrooms locked up for the night. The only sound you can hear are my shoes slapping on the tiles. In my mind, I draw a picture of the footprints disappearing over a hill like they show in the cartoons. The farther away I get from Charisse's idea of a Christmas party, the better I feel. Charisse. After James leaves, nobody speaks at first, but I feel real embarrassed for saying what I did. Why do I never learn? But then when Marcel jumps up and says, maybe the Prez don't want to be family with us, but here's the real question. Who wants to be family with him? And that's what makes everybody start laughing. Marcel reaches for the plastic cake knife and twirls it between his fingers. Anybody want more cake to eat? Because I do. While we're stuffing ourselves with second pieces of cake, I ask Mr. Collins to tell us more about his family. How old are your kids? I ask him through a mouthful of cake. He takes out his wallet and shows us his pictures. Here's Emma. He points to the picture of a little girl with curly blonde hair and a round pie face. And that's Max, he says. The boy in the next photograph is older, maybe 10 or 11, and he has Mr. Collins' thin face, brown hair, and serious look, no doubt about it. Is he good in math? Terrible, Mr. Collins smiles and shakes his head. He's like his mother, more into music and computers and that sort of thing. And that was the first picture of your wallet? I ask. Rondell gives me one of her stop being so nosy looks, but I can't keep from being curious about people, you know. As Mr. Collins was turning to his kids' pictures, I couldn't help but seeing the black and white picture of somebody's face in the front. All I wanted to know is who it was. Before Mr. Collins turned back to the picture in his wallet, I hear him take a deep breath and let out slowly, like maybe I shouldn't have asked to see any more. But then he holds up a picture of everybody, leans closer to get a good look at it. It's a small photograph of a teenager in a military uniform. His face is serious, but he's good looking, you can tell. That's my brother Jerry, Mr. Collins continues in a quiet voice. He was a soldier in Vietnam. And just the way he said the sentence makes your stomach suddenly turn over, and you don't even have to ask the question to know that his brother is dead. He doesn't look that old, I say, feeling uncomfortable. How old was he in that picture? Mr. Collins closes up the photographs carefully and puts away his wallet. 19, he answers in a soft voice. Old enough to die in Vietnam. At least the people who sent him to war thought he was. My daddy's a Vietnam vet, Marcel adds, acting prouder than he should, I think, especially after somebody's just told you that their brother died in the same war. But Mr. Collins just replies, well then, you've heard a lot about it. Willie Q wants me to go into the military just like him, Marcel shakes his head. Ain't doing that, though. No way, I'm going to be a movie star, or a comedian. I try to change the conversation to do something else. I pull another question out of the air. Did you always want to be a math teacher? I ask Mr. Collins. He stands up and brushes the cake crumbs off his shirt. After my brother died, I did, he replies. When Marcel asks him why, Mr. Collins, it was because math had answers when life didn't. In math, you can solve problems and find solutions, he explains. There are rules and patterns like the tetrahedron. Mr. Collins points the direction of our half-finished one. But when your older brother dies in a war and you're only 12 years old, there aren't any solutions to find. Somebody died when he's 19 years old on May 14th in 1969 on a hill called 937 in South Vietnam. Those numbers in life don't have answers. They don't make sense, no matter how hard you try to understand them.